Well, Prince Louis' vision has emerged of him absolutely beaming.
Gasps echoed through the grand halls of Windsor Castle as Prince Louis, with eyes blazing and voice unwavering, confronted Queen Camilla in a moment no one saw coming. The young royal's unexpected challenge sent ripples through the palace, leaving courtiers frozen in shock. How could someone so young speak with such defiance? This wasn't a fleeting childhood outburst. It was a clash that exposed simmering tensions within the royal family. What unfolded between Prince Louis and Camilla has everyone talking, and the monarchy reeling. Prince Louis versus Queen Camilla, a royal struggle for identity. Before we dive into the heated debate between Prince Louis and Queen Camilla, it's crucial to understand the deep influence Camilla wields within the royal family. While publicly known as Queen Consort to King Charles III, her role extends far beyond mere ceremonial duties. Behind palace walls, Camilla has taken an active role in shaping the upbringing of her step-grandchildren, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and most notably, Prince Louis. Her influence, insiders claim, reaches into their daily routines, public behavior, and even the unspoken rules of royal decorum. From the moment she stepped into the royal fold, Camilla has been a firm believer in maintaining the traditions that define royalty. For her, royal etiquette is not just a set of guidelines, but an unshakable pillar of monarchical identity. While Prince William and Princess Kate embrace a more modern and relaxed parenting approach, Camilla remains rooted in the principles of discipline, composure, and restraint, values she insists must be instilled in the young royals. This contrast in parenting philosophies has led to subtle tensions, particularly with Prince Louis, who has always been known for his lively and carefree nature. Unlike his older siblings, George and Charlotte, Louis has struggled under the weight of these strict expectations, while George, as the future king, naturally receives structured guidance, and Charlotte is praised for her composed demeanor. Louis has often found himself under closer scrutiny. Many royal watchers have observed that he faces harsher corrections from Camilla, particularly when his exuberance threatens to disrupt the carefully maintained royal image. One particularly revealing moment took place during a high-profile royal event in 2022. As the family attended a long and formal ceremony, Camilla reportedly insisted that Louis remain seated and composed for the entire duration. His older siblings, George and Charlotte, were allowed some flexibility, engaging with the crowd or shifting their posture when necessary. However, Louis, full of restless energy, was expected to sit still, an expectation that soon became unbearable for the young prince. Observers noted how he fidgeted in his seat, his frustration growing evident as he struggled to conform to the rigid demands placed upon him. For a child still developing his understanding of the world, this sense of being treated differently only deepened the rift between him and Camilla. Over time, subtle changes in Louis's behavior became noticeable. Once the most carefree and expressive of the three siblings, he began to exhibit signs of withdrawal, particularly in Camilla's presence. The playful spark in his eyes dimmed whenever she was near, and his naturally spirited personality seemed to shrink under the weight of formality. Camilla's influence didn't stop at public events. It extended into decisions regarding the children's education, their public appearances, and even their mannerisms. Insiders suggest that Louis, more than his siblings, struggled under these restrictions, feeling as though he was constantly expected to suppress his natural instincts. As he grew older, this internal conflict began to manifest in subtle yet telling ways. An eye roll during an official engagement, a quiet sigh when corrected, or a visible shift in mood when Camilla asserted her authority. While these moments may seem minor, they paint a larger picture of a young prince grappling with the weight of royal expectations. For Louis, the challenge has never been about outright defiance, but rather an ongoing battle between his playful spirit and the rigid constraints imposed upon him. And as tensions simmer beneath the surface, one question remains: how long can Prince Louis suppress his natural instincts before they boil over into something much bigger? Prince Louis, and the birthday that wasn't his own. Here's where everything takes a surprising turn. You might be wondering, how does everything leading up to this moment tie into Prince Louis's birthday? Well, you're about to find out. Prince Louis had spent countless days dreaming of a celebration bursting with joy. In his mind, the grand gardens of Kensington Palace would transform into a wonderland. Balloons floating like colorful clouds, fountains glistening in the sunlight, and the air filled with laughter echoing between ancient oak trees that had stood witness to generations of royal children. His imagination painted scenes of running through the roses, playing tag with his cousins, and hiding behind carefully trimmed hedges. His sister, Princess Charlotte, would lead the younger ones in their games, while Prince George, ever the adventurer, would undoubtedly claim the tallest climbing tree as his own. To Louis, the garden was magical. The rose maze could be a dragon's lair, the fountain a wishing well, and the towering oak his own castle. Every morning, he pressed his face to the window, watching gardeners prepare the grounds, his excitement bubbling with each passing day. But royal birthdays are never just about balloons, cake, and games. They're about tradition, appearances, and meeting certain expectations. And this year, Queen Camilla had her own vision for how things should unfold. Her plans were as different from Louis's dreams as night is from day. Forget running barefoot on the grass. She imagined elegant rooms filled with dignified guests, polished silverware, and perfectly arranged bouquets. No butterfly chases or treasure hunts, just neatly pressed suits, practiced bows, and controlled conversations. Her announcement came during an afternoon tea where the gentle clinking of china cups accompanied her words. "A prince must learn proper decorum," she said to Catherine, Louis's mother, her tone polite but firm. "The garden is hardly the place for a royal celebration. We shall host a formal gathering in the state room." Louis's world seemed to tilt at those words. His bright dreams of outdoor fun suddenly felt like fragile bubbles, popping one by one. His face fell, and Catherine noticed the subtle signs, a tightening grip on her hand, the restless shuffle of his feet. Determined but heartbroken, Louis tugged at her sleeve and whispered, "But Mommy, the garden has the butterfly bush, and James promised to bring his puppy." His small voice, filled with the pure logic of a child, echoed in the grand room. It was his day, wasn't it? A day to run, laugh, and play, not to sit still beneath heavy chandeliers and stare at somber portraits. Yet Camilla's vision marched on, string quartets, dignified greetings, and no room for the messy, joyful chaos Louis longed for. "The Archbishop will be there," Camilla added thoughtfully, "and Louis must practice his greeting. Perhaps we should review his bow. It was rather enthusiastic last time." Catherine squeezed her son's hand, torn between royal duty and a mother's instinct to let her child be a child. The polished floors and gilded mirrors of the state room reflected back a version of the day that felt cold and distant. Where would Louis and his cousins play? Where would they imagine and explore? Sunbeams that danced so freely in the garden would be trapped in heavy curtains here, just like Louis's wild spirit. He fidgeted with his collar, his mind already rebelling against the image of sitting still and behaving perfectly.
Louis having some fun, really.
While his heart yearned for grass underfoot and adventure at every turn. This was supposed to be a 6-year-old's birthday, yet the weight of royal expectations loomed large. Queen Camilla meant well, aiming for elegance and tradition, but in her vision, she seemed to miss the very essence of childhood: joy, spontaneity, and a bit of harmless mischief. And Louis? Louis wasn't just any child. He was a whirlwind of energy and curiosity, a boy whose laughter could light up the grandest halls and whose imagination refused to be caged. The question lingered in the air: would the day belong to royal protocol or to the vibrant heart of a little prince determined to celebrate his way? A clash of traditions. Prince Louis and Queen Camilla's strained bond. Tensions between Prince Louis and Queen Camilla have quietly brewed for years, a subtle yet persistent clash of personalities rooted in their vastly different views on childhood and royal expectations. Camilla, now 76, holds firmly to the traditions of aristocratic upbringing, manners, restraint, and polished appearances. Louis, on the other hand, is a whirlwind of youthful energy, his carefree spirit often challenging the refined image Camilla expects of the royal family. Their complicated relationship has unfolded through a series of small, yet telling, incidents. Take, for example, the 2022 family event at Sandringham. As the royal family gathered for dinner, Camilla reportedly corrected Prince George's table manners in front of guests, creating a ripple of discomfort. Louis, watching from his seat, fidgeted under the weight of the formality. Moments like these, while seemingly minor, have become symbolic of the larger rift between Camilla's emphasis on decorum and Louis's spirited nature. Camilla's frustration became more apparent during King Charles III's coronation on May 6, 2023, at Westminster Abbey. While many found Louis's lively antics, his yawns and playful expressions, endearing, Camilla reportedly saw them differently. According to palace insiders, she expressed disapproval, remarking that such behavior was unbecoming of a royal child during such a historic occasion. Louis, oblivious to the quiet criticism, twirled in his seat and whispered to his siblings, his joy unsuited to the grandeur unfolding around him. Behind closed doors, these moments have accumulated. At a formal dinner last autumn at Balmoral Castle, Louis transformed what should have been a calm meal into an impromptu game of hide-and-seek, slipping beneath the linen-draped tables. While the younger guests giggled, Camilla's lips thinned into a disapproving line, her gaze cool and unwavering. More recently, during a garden party at Buckingham Palace in June 2023, Louis led a group of children in making mud pies, leaving their formal outfits beyond saving. The palace staff exchanged glances, some secretly amused, others bracing for Camilla's reaction. Their friction isn't just about isolated incidents, it stems from a fundamental disagreement on what childhood should be. To Camilla, childhood is a period for learning structure, understanding one's place in society, and adhering to royal protocol. For Louis, childhood is about joy, exploration, and moments that sparkle with unpredictability. This divide is most evident in their everyday interactions. Where Camilla offers a polite nod, Louis rushes in with sticky-fingered hugs. Where she encourages quiet study, he prefers noisy games of tag with Princess Charlotte. Perhaps the most poignant conflict came during Queen Elizabeth II's funeral in September 2022. Although Louis, just 4 years old at the time, was deemed too young to attend, Camilla reportedly insisted that he remain out of public view at major events until he could display appropriate decorum. Prince William and Catherine found this stance troubling. For them, including all their children in royal traditions, flaws and all, was essential. Louis himself, sensing the tension, began voicing his feelings more openly, culminating in the now infamous disagreement over his birthday celebration. Despite attempts by William and Catherine to mediate, finding common ground between Camilla's strict adherence to royal formality and Louis's irrepressible energy has proven challenging.
The British monarch has given her blessing for Prince Charles' wife Camilla to be called Queen Consort.
Some palace staff quietly admire the young prince's ability to upend Camilla's meticulously planned events. Others worry that the widening gap between them may prove harder to bridge as time goes on. Prince Louis's birthday confrontation, a moment that shook the palace. Prince Louis's 6th birthday was meant to be a joyous occasion, filled with laughter, family, and celebration. Yet beneath the surface, tensions had been simmering for quite some time. What should have been a simple family gathering took an unexpected turn when Queen Camilla extended a gesture that was met with a response no one in the room saw coming. The festivities had been carefully planned, with Prince William and Catherine ensuring their youngest son's special day was nothing short of magical. However, when Queen Camilla approached the young prince to offer her well wishes, the air in the room shifted. Always maintaining the poised grace expected of a queen, she leaned down with a smile, extending warm words of celebration. But rather than responding in kind, Louis did something that sent a visible ripple through the gathering. He turned his back to her. The moment hung heavy in the air. Guests exchanged glances, unsure how to react. Camilla, ever composed, waited, perhaps expecting him to turn back. When he didn't, those closest to the scene could see the flicker of disappointment cross her face. Determined not to let the snub pass, She quietly urged him to face her, to acknowledge her as his queen. It was then that Louis, still clearly upset, turned to his older sister, Princess Charlotte, and in a hushed yet unmistakably firm whisper, uttered words that left the room stunned. "I hate her. She's not my queen." The words, though spoken in the small voice of a child, carried a weight that no one could ignore. The room, once filled with chatter and the sounds of celebration, fell into a stunned silence. Those who heard it froze, processing the raw emotion behind Louis's declaration. It was not just an offhand remark, it was a statement filled with conviction, frustration, and perhaps even pain. It was the kind of unfiltered honesty only a child could express without hesitation. For Camilla, the moment was undoubtedly difficult. While she managed to maintain her usual regal demeanor, those who knew her well could see the momentary crack in her expression, a brief flicker of discomfort, a tightening of her lips, a glance away, as if needing a second to process what had just transpired. It was a rare and telling moment.
Palace this morning, this is sad news. Prince Philip has died at the age of 99.
Revealing the depth of tension that had clearly existed for quite some time between the Queen and the young prince. Prince William and Catherine were swift to act, aware of the brewing emotions beneath the surface. Rather than forcing an interaction that was bound to make things worse, they discreetly led Louis outside for a short break, away from the lingering tension. Later that evening, as the official birthday portraits were released to the public, Louis was seen lying comfortably on a blanket, smiling brightly at the camera. To an outsider, it was the picture of a happy child on his special day. But to those aware of what had taken place earlier, the contrast was striking. When news of the incident leaked to the public, it sparked a wildfire of speculation and debate. Some sided with Louis, believing his reaction was a reflection of deeper feelings of resentment or discomfort toward Camilla's role in the family. Others saw it as an inevitable clash between the old and the new, a symbol of the monarchy's ongoing struggle between upholding tradition and adapting to modern expectations. Camilla, a figure deeply rooted in the customs and structures of an older royal era, had long tried to balance her responsibilities as queen consort with the complexities of being a step-grandmother to William and Harry's children. Many sympathized with her position, arguing that the confrontation was simply a case of a child acting out, a private family moment that had been unfairly blown out of proportion. But there were others who saw something more significant in the young prince's words, an unfiltered glimpse into the emotions that exist beneath the surface of royal life. As debates raged on about the significance of the moment, one thing was clear. Prince Louis, despite his young age, had sparked a conversation that reached far beyond the walls of the palace, a royal compromise, bridging old traditions and new beginnings. The Windsor Castle bustled with excitement for Prince Louis's 6th birthday, yet beneath the festive surface, tension lingered. Earlier that day, an uncomfortable moment between young Louis and Queen Camilla had left the royal family unsettled. Stepping in to ease the strain, Prince William knelt beside his son, gently whispering words meant to soothe. He spoke of tradition as a great tree, its roots deep in history, but its branches reaching toward new possibilities. Louis listened, his tense posture softening. Rising to face Camilla, William proposed a solution that balanced royal custom with a child's joy. The formal tea would stay but be shortened. The string quartet, a symbol of royal elegance, would blend classical music with Louis's favorite Disney songs. The garden party, initially structured and formal, would now include games and outdoor play. Queen Camilla listened thoughtfully. Her expression, usually poised, softened as she glanced at Louis's brightened face. When William suggested moving some party games outside, she offered a faint smile, a gesture acknowledging both compromise and understanding. Perhaps she recognized something familiar in Louis's rebelliousness, a reflection of her own journey into royal acceptance. The palace staff, bracing for a day clouded by discord, exchanged relieved glances. The head butler, having served 3 royal generations, remarked on the remarkable diplomacy he had just witnessed. Even the grand portraits lining Windsor's walls seemed, in their silent gaze, to approve of this union of old and new. Preparations shifted swiftly. The head gardener mapped out safe play zones, while the royal chef designed a menu with dainty pastries alongside colorful cupcakes. The master of ceremonies coordinated with the children's nanny to balance structure with spontaneous fun. In a surprising turn, Camilla suggested outdoor drawing lessons for the children, a notion that left senior staff momentarily stunned. Louis embraced the changes wholeheartedly. He practiced his bow with a serious face, though bursts of giggles occasionally escaped. Camilla, once a stickler for decorum, chose to overlook the playful outbursts. Later, as official birthday photos captured Louis grinning beneath Windsor's blooming trees, quiet moments revealed a newfound connection. Camilla pointed out historic portraits, while Louis excitedly showed her his secret garden hideouts. In those small exchanges, a subtle but profound shift occurred, proof that even within royal walls, tradition and change could coexist in harmony. A royal rebellion, the day tradition bent. Would this moment be dismissed as a childish tantrum, or had the palace just witnessed the first glimpse of a boy unwilling to be shaped by tradition? The grand halls seemed to hold their breath, waiting for time to provide the answer. Camilla observed Prince Louis with fresh eyes, sensing something in his defiance. Echoes of past royals whose unyielding spirits reshaped the monarchy. She studied his determined face during their teas, wondering if she had underestimated not just his will, but its potential impact. The Queen's approach subtly shifted. Once rigid traditions were now bent, not broken. Creativity was woven into schedules, and though etiquette was still enforced, even during finger painting, something had changed. At formal events, Camilla caught Louis's mischievous gaze from across the room. Prince Louis remained as he always was, lively, stubborn, and full of fire. His laughter echoed through corridors where previous generations had whispered in measured tones. He turned manicured gardens into playgrounds and grand staterooms into adventure lands. But beneath his boundless energy, something new emerged. A mutual understanding between him and Camilla, a silent acknowledgement neither had expected. His siblings, Prince George and Princess Charlotte, watched curiously. In his refusal to conform, their younger brother shifted the foundation of palace traditions. Even the palace walls, which had long stood witness to rehearsed perfection, seemed to respond, warming to the sound of unrestrained laughter.
Do you want this?
Perhaps Camilla recognized in Louis the same force that had once carried her through her own difficult royal journey. Perhaps she saw in his rebellion a potential others overlooked. The birthday celebrations continued, delicately balanced between royal protocol and childhood playfulness, but palace battles never truly ended. They merely paused, waiting to rise again. The challenge of balancing royal customs with modern childhood would persist, yet something fundamental had shifted. Prince Louis had done what few dared. He had challenged Camilla in a way neither calculated nor political. His words were not refined speeches, but raw, unfiltered defiance. And yet, they accomplished what diplomacy often failed to do. They cracked the veneer of rigid tradition. Was this the mark of a future leader, or merely the unchecked spirit of youth? As the sun set, casting long shadows through grand windows, the answer remained elusive, somewhere between the pristine staterooms and the muddied garden beyond. Louis had performed his perfect bow earlier, though those watching might have caught the glint of mischief in his eyes. The string quartet played Bach and Beethoven, but it was their rendition of Let It Go that left royal eyes misty. And then, something unexpected. Camilla, always poised, momentarily abandoned strict protocols. She joined the children's games, and when her hat tumbled in a game of tag, she laughed, truly laughed. No one knew how long this delicate peace would last, but Prince Louis had made his presence known, and the palace, steeped in tradition, would not forget it. After all, sometimes the most lasting changes begin with the unyielding voice of a child. But did you believe that Prince Louis's simple act of defiance could truly make Camilla bend royal traditions, and even laugh freely? Could his rebellion reshape the monarchy's future? Share your thoughts below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.